Stellar Blade released last week with a huge wave of anticipation, and it seems like many of us are thoroughly enjoying the game. It currently sits with the highest Metacritic user score of the current generation, and that, by any means, is crazy. There's been some controversy surrounding the game, but it seems like that has mostly been swept to the side by most consumers because the game is sold like hotcakes on a Saturday morning. Now, I've went ahead and dumped a lot of time into the game over the last week so I can share my thoughts with you, and all the acclaim is definitely warranted. Now, for those of you that don't know, Stellar Blade sends you back to Earth in order to clear the surface of the Natiba, a gnarly race of creature that is wreaking havoc on the remaining human population. You, the player, play as Eve, who is a member of the 7th Airborne Squadron and is also an absolute smoke show, which you'll discover through playing is kind of the theme of the game. Now, I appreciate the game. It gets you set right into the action because the combat system is probably the star of the whole game, even more so than the characters, but we'll get to more of that in just a little bit. There were initial comparisons to games like Sekiro when the demo was released, but having played the game thoroughly, I'd feel confident in saying that there is much more to it than just that. Battle input is more responsive now due to the day 1 patch that was released, which fixed the response time. If you played the demo, you'll know that parrying and dodging was kind of difficult because of the unintended input lag, so I appreciate them for fixing that right away. It's almost like demos are actually useful for something. But anyways, the combat is very fluid and exciting, and I myself felt like a badass when I started parrying multiple attacks in a row and was able to deal massive damage with a killing blow when the enemy was staggered. It does take some getting used to, however, as the enemy's moves are not completely telegraphed as they are in some games. You kind of get the gist of what's going to happen as you progress, but if you do happen to get caught in a combo, or you can pretty much expect to be responding in short time. Some people may be upset at the comment I made earlier about the combat being the best part of the game. I can hear them now. But what about Eve? I noticed that I forgot I was playing a bombshell of a character when I was deep in the midst of a battle, especially with some of the most outrageous bosses in the game. Some of them were honestly spectacular, from the battle itself to the location of the fight, and I just didn't realize that I was playing such a hot character. You'll see what I'm talking about if you decide to pick it up. I did try the game on both difficulty settings because I wanted to see how they differed, and I'm happy to see that they included this into the main game because you can definitely tell the differences in difficulties. That means if you aren't really a fan of difficult battles, you can select the story mode and enjoy the game just as the rest of us do. And I know some people don't like difficulty settings, but I honestly think it opens up the game for more people, and that I can get behind. Now, shifting focus to the cast of the game. Eve isn't the only person in the game. She's accompanied by Adam and Lily, both of which take turns manning the drone that's always with you. And there are some others throughout the game as well, but to resist spoilers, you're going to have to meet them for yourself. It's my opinion that the character development is not the game's strong suit. Adam is an integral part of the game. However, if it wasn't for the plot and his portion in the story, he would be forgettable. I'm not sure if it's just like the writing or the voice actor himself, but the character doesn't do a good job of expressing emotion, especially during parts of the story that are shocking and emotional. And Lily is a tad better, but not by much. As for the main protagonist, she kind of grew on me, but no matter how hard the game tries to create character development, it still seemed like they all lacked depth. I mean, you can judge for yourself. These are just, again, most of my opinions. The game's main story isn't super, intriguing either, if I'm being 100% honest. I mean, there are some insane plot twists and stuff that make themselves known throughout the game, but it honestly seems like the last half of the story is a little rushed. The side missions and other optional tasks can be actually quite fun, and miler spoiler alert for you, I was actually pretty excited to see that there's also fishing in the game. I only did it just a few times, but it was a nice breakup from the hack and slash elements that make up most of the game. It's also important to know that there are some decisions throughout the story that can lead to different endings. I won't really go into how to obtain each and every one of them. If you want that, you can just Google it, but I made some mistakes and got an ending that I wasn't really too happy with, so I guess it gives me an excuse to try New Game Plus. Now, something that I'm sure we'll all agree on is the musical score for the game is absolutely stunning. From just the first level of the game, you can tell that they took so much time to curate a soundtrack that captures that sort of post-apocalyptic Android feel. There are some great instrumental tracks, but most of the best scores are the ones with the vocals. The Wasteland theme is probably my favorite game song to date. I mean, just take a listen to it. Honestly, that's pretty great stuff here, and I can't quite say enough about it. The music choices also fit their respective levels, from the broken down city alleys to dark dingy sewers. The atmospheres are very, very enjoyable. Speaking of level designs, Stellar Blade surprisingly isn't just completely linear. Playing the demo, I thought maybe it would be, but I was pleasantly surprised to discover that there were also large open parts of the world that you could explore as well. In these set areas, there was so much to discover, and the game conveniently allows you to move around at faster speeds without introducing a stamina limit, which made traversal actually really enjoyable and speedy. Now, while I do enjoy the variety in levels in video games, it seems like Stellar Blade kind of at times isn't sure what kind of game it wants to be. The game is advertised as like this fast-paced hack-em-up game leading up to release, and for the most part it actually does stay that way. However, there are a few stages in this game where everything slows down and the game almost takes up like a horror element kind of vibe. And while I really appreciate the diversity, it kind of slows down the pacing of the game, but the parts are just such a small slice of the game as a whole, it ended up just being kind of off-putting and didn't really ruin anything for me. Now in the level, Stellar Blade also seems to make vertical traversal an integral part of the game, and this means that the yellow paint haters out there need to be aware, as there's a lot of it in this one to help you get along. I didn't really mind the yellow paint as much, but I know there's people out there that absolutely hate it. In regards to the traversing, like the vertical traversal, I didn't really mind it as much, but it kind of felt out of place a little bit, as I'm not sure it kind of fits the genre of the game, but I mean, they added it in there and it's not a deal breaker. And as I said earlier, it kind of just seems like Stellar Blade is trying to do a little too much, but I don't think it really hurts the game. Now, I really enjoyed Stellar Blade. I'm not a super huge fan of hack and slash games. I feel like they can get pretty repetitive and boring pretty quick, but I honestly didn't feel that at all with this game. I mean, through the first go around, it's still capturing my attention. I'm still enjoying the hell out of it, but it remains to be seen if it can hold my attention in New Game Plus, but I can definitely say that this game has met expectations and then some. Now, I really do hate the fact that console exclusive exists, because this game deserves to be played by as many people as want to play it. Now, that being said, the game is not completely perfect. I don't really think there are many games out there that are completely perfect, but this one definitely suffered from lack of character depth and pacing issues. And while the combat mechanics are amazing and fluid at some times, it seems like the regular movement in traversal can feel kind of janky. None of the cons are too egregious though to not recommend this game to anybody. So I mean, if you're on the fence and you're trying to decide if you should get this game, I would definitely recommend it. Stellar Blade ends up being like an 8 out of 10 on the cliche scale if I'm rating it myself. Now, I do want to thank you guys so much for sitting through this video and listening to my opinions of the game. If you have differing opinions, I am more than welcome to hear them down in the comments below. If you like the video, please don't hesitate to hit that little thumbs up button. It really does help the channel grow. And if you want more videos like this, more reviews, or just gaming videos, click the subscribe button and click that notification bell to get notified when I release new content. Until next time, everybody stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.